All right, guys, so Seeking Alpha has released their top 3 AI stocks that they recommend you buy the dip on. And I got to be honest with you guys, I don't necessarily disagree with the list, but it's definitely an odd list to say the least. So I wanted to give my take on these stocks, if you should buy the dip or not in these stocks. And I also wanted to have a broader discussion about the AI hype. Is it all hype? What is real? What is fact? What is fiction? All that sort of stuff like that. I just ask that you gently tap that like button and consider subscribing to It's Super Easy to Do if you like the truth without the hype. So first things first, Nvidia did not make the list, and for obvious reasons. It's not dipping, guys. It just continues to run. In regards to my take on Nvidia's earnings, this is what great companies do, not necessarily quarter in, quarter out. This has been ridiculous. This run that Nvidia's had has just been nothing short of really incredible. They continue to just crush all the numbers, crush all the guidance, just basically blow everything out of the water. And I'm sorry, Tesla fans, Tesla has not had quarters like this in a long, long, long time. Matter of fact, I'm not sure it's ever had back-to-back quarters this outstanding. Maybe it has, I don't really remember, but it's been a long time since we've seen anything like this. So this is definitely a unique run and much more than just quote unquote AI hype running up the stock. These guys are performing underneath as well. The numbers are backing up the hype in regards to Nvidia itself. Now, that doesn't mean it applies to all the rest of the stocks we're going to talk about today or any of the other AI plays out there. But in regards to Nvidia, that's absolutely what is going on there. But that kind of leads me kind of into the next question of, is AI actually all hype? And is it kind of like the tech bubble back in the day with the internet and all that sort of stuff? Whenever, basically the dot-com bubble came and went back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I've heard a lot of people kind of compare the two, the AI hype to that. And I can tell you right now, as an investor that lived through that time period as well, it is nothing like what the hype was during that, dot-com bubble, that whole thing. That was just a mess all the way around. Back then, unlike company like an Nvidia, like the stocks we'll talk about today, like a lot of our other favorite AI stocks that are actually producing products, generating revenue, profitable, printing money on the other side, that was not going on back during the tech bubble days. It was essentially a company would go public. Hey, do you got a website on this new thing called the internet? I think that's what it's called. There'd be a lot of questions about what do we call it? Do we call it the net? Is it the internet? Whatever. That's how crazy it was back then. And if you just had a website, bam, $100 million valuation, no problem at all. Never mind the fact you don't have any revenue, you have no, business model to actually generate revenue or anything else like that. Just you got a website, you'll be good to go. Internet, it's the future. Moving on. And we have not seen anywhere near that degree of hype around AI like we saw back then. So whenever you kind of hear that narrative, just kind of get that out of your mind there because it's 100% not true. As somebody who lived it, that's how utterly ridiculous it was. And it wasn't like it was one or two companies that did that. There were hundreds of companies that fell into that same exact category of having absolutely nothing except for a website and a cool PowerPoint. And, basically, bam, $100 million valuation. You can almost kind of compare it to the penny stock craze, except for on steroids, and everybody was involved in buying up all these stocks, large hedge funds, large, funds. Everybody was involved in it back during the tech bubble days. So in terms of this hype right now for AI, it's not the same as the tech bubble. So just, kind of get that out of your head right now. We have actual companies producing. I agree we're at the beginning of the AI curve, if you want to say that. Like, hey, is AI here? Well, it's been here for a little while. But in terms of the, what the future is, or we're at the beginning of what's going to be the future, yeah. And is it going to take a decade to play out? Probably so. I agree there too. But we're not seeing the same sort of speculation in the stock market on AI stocks like we saw back during those tech bubble days. So make sure you kind of keep that in mind as we kind of go through this list. So first up, according to Seeking Alpha, was Meta. And I'm right there with you guys. I don't really think of Meta as an AI company. I understand they use AI. I understand it's part of their products in general, their product suites. And in terms of making their products better, I'm sure AI is helping them do that. But it's not what I would think of whenever I think of a pure AI play. And to me, this is all tech companies really fall. If you're going to include Meta in this category, then to me, basically every tech company, and sooner or later, every company in the globe that wants to survive is going to be a quote unquote AI company if this is kind of the bar that they're going to use to be an AI company. So, and honestly, they didn't really state a whole lot in the article as to how Meta is related to AI, except of they kind of tried to tie it back to Reels and Threads, and it was literally one line, and that was it. Out of the 2 or 3 paragraphs that dedicated to Meta, there was just literally one line about AI, and all the rest of it was about all the other great things that Meta's doing, which of course led them to, hey, it's a strong buy. And I can't argue that I don't think it's not a buy. For me, it's not a strong buy. It is a buy though. Anything really under $300 to me is a buy for Meta stock. That's not my price target. My price target is much lower because I've owned the stock for a very, very long time. And obviously whenever it hit that $80 mark or got underneath 100, hey, we were busy gobbling up all the shares that we could. But I really have to question them because when Meta was in free fall, they were nothing to do with it. They had sell ratings everywhere for Meta during that time, whenever you honestly should have been buying. When Meta gets underneath the $100, when it gets underneath $200, you should be loading the boat anyways. But getting down under $100 and having a sell rating on it, now that it's up almost to all-time highs, not all-time high, but now that it's up to basically 52-week highs, now you want to put a strong buy rating on it. That to me kind of tells you a lot about what's going on there with Seeking Alpha. To me, the best time to be buying was when it was actually in free fall in the first place, because nobody can time the bottom, nobody knows when it's going to stop. And so we continue to add to that stock. And as it continued to fall lower and lower and lower, it reached that point to where, hey, I just got to make max buys, shoving as much money as I can into Meta, because this is just crazy. You know, under 100, couldn't believe it. Under 90, shocking to me. Honestly, it was truly, truly shocking to see it down at those levels. And it just meant make max buys on Meta, because this is going to pay off at some point in time in the future. I didn't expect it to pay off this quick, but it's absolutely going to pay off. Which you can see buys like that and any other time we take advantage of dip opportunities in the Market Insiders private group, where right now we're running a sale, basically celebrating the release of our stock analyzer tool. It's completely free for members. And guys, the price cannot stay this low forever. In order to basically fund that tool, I got to raise the price. But for right now, you jump in, you get your membership, you get to keep the price today for the life of your membership, as long as you stay a member there, and you won't ever have to pay that elevated price. And remember, you also get 5 free courses. You get tons of exclusive videos. You get access to the best 6- and 7-figure Discord out there. I put out 3, 4, 5 videos a week just for you guys in the group there. You get to jump on a live Q&As that you do with me at least weekly. You can slide into my DMs anytime you want. Honestly, there's not much more I could tell you guys about it. Check out the pinned comment down there and see if it's right for you. But I can guarantee you won't find a group that includes more for less money than our group down there. So make sure you take advantage of the sale before it expires soon. But back to the point I was trying to make about Seeking Alpha, they're just as guilty as everybody else on Wall Street about chasing momentum. Essentially, when stocks are going down, it's sell, 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 sell. And then when stocks are on the rocket ship up and it looks like they're going to the moon per se, then it's buy, 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 buy. It's the same exact rinse and repeat formula that all of Wall Street loses. Well, they do lose, but that's not what I meant. All of Wall Street uses to basically have you buying high and selling low. And that's why I don't take a lot of stock on a lot of these tools and a lot of these other things like that, because I know it may be intentional, it may not be intentional. Who knows? I'm not here to guess anybody's intentions. I just know the track record tells me that's exactly what they say and exactly what happens during these times. And that's been going on for 20 plus years now that I've been investing. So that's exactly what I expect from these sorts of things. And that's why doing your own due diligence, having your own plan, you know, basically creating your own price targets and everything out is so vital, and not listening to any of this other stuff. So on to the second stock that they had, and that would be Amazon. And again, there wasn't a lot of mention about AI. Of course, we know Amazon is using AI with everything that they do and everything that they're trying to build out. So it's not a pure AI play per se, but there's absolutely AI there. So again, this is their list. So that's kind of what they create. And I've been bullish on Amazon for a long time. And we were buying up shares like crazy under $100. Even once it broke over $100, I still thought it's a steal deal. And even at 130-ish today, I actually think it's a good buy from a long-term perspective. So whenever I'm looking at the stock long-term, I understand what Amazon is and kind of what the future is. I don't think anybody's, debating, is Amazon the future of retail? Absolutely. It's just a question of how fast the rest of the retailers all die out, is what it seems like, because they continue to branch out and continue to take market share across the board. But you have to be careful with Amazon stock. For its history, go back and look at a chart. It has periods of time of years. Years, guys. Even during raging bull markets, it has periods of time for years where it just trades flat or down. And you've got to be okay with that. One, it always trades rich, so it's always going to have a ridiculous PE compared to what it probably should have. But it's been that way forever. And I know tons and tons of people who have never bought Amazon and could have made a fortune on Amazon whenever they figured out, hey, Amazon's a great company back in the early 2000s. Yeah, it is, but they wouldn't buy it because the valuation, because it traded rich. And all these years later, man, they'd be sitting on a fortune if they would have bought it. And that's just the multiple Wall Street decides to trade at. It always trades rich. But the caution to that is it also has periods of time for years where it trades down or flat. So you have to understand that owning the stock, that if you're not playing the long game with it, sure, you may catch one of those rocket ships up before it hits that next plateau. Completely possible. But I'm not trying to play games and time games and try to figure out when the rocket ship's taking off, and then when it plateaus, I'll get out, and then when it rocket ships up again. I'm not playing any of those games. I just understand that's how the stock moves, and that's how I want you guys to understand it, is understanding that's how the stock moves, so you aren't surprised if that happens after you buy the stock. And finally, they had Google, but slow down, guys. My feelings on is Google stock a buy or not right now and what its valuation is a little bit different than the other two stocks, so kind of stick with me here. I'll get to that here in just a minute. Google, to me, is one that is actually more of an AI play than the other two are. I would, if you wanted to put that one in that category, I would definitely say they are definitely one of the front runners in regards to AI. In regards to what they're doing kind of behind the scenes there at Google. So This one to me makes a little bit more sense in regards to that. But AI is not new at Google at all. It's been around for a long time there. Just the spotlight being shown on it is very, very bright right now. And that's the reason why you're hearing, obviously Google talking a lot about that on their earnings call, whereas opposed to a year ago, they were barely mentioning things like that and a lot of other things like that. So it's just the spotlight's being shown on it, but they've been working with AI for years now. And obviously they're going to continue to work for it, into the foreseeable future as well. And of course, it was the same situation with Seeking Alpha and everybody else as the other two stocks were. Basically sell and run away, strong sell at 80 bucks, 90 bucks, 100 bucks, whatever the case was. Now all of a sudden it's approaching all-time highs. It's not quite there yet, but it's approaching all-time highs, and now it's a raging strong buy. Same exact game as before. And for me, honestly, from a valuation perspective, it's a little bit stretched. It's not terrible right now, but they definitely, until they kind of get the ad revenue completely cleaned up, or basically, to me, stronger guidance on that, revenue moving forward. Hey, basically advertisers are returning. They saw some returning, but basically full force. They're starting to see that again. Until we kind of see that right there, it is going to trade itself a little bit rich, because if that lags just a little bit, it's really going to hurt that valuation in the short term. But in regards to runway with AI specifically, I think they have by far and away the longest runway, between the three stocks that we're talking about today. So for me, in regards to if you're looking for a pure AI play or close to a pure AI play with a long runway to really make a lot of money into the future, that would definitely be the bet that I would place out of the three stocks we talked about today, would be with Google, because they have the biggest runway for all the different things that AI can possibly do in the future. Now we'll see if they can execute to it. They got to get there. They're not there yet. But man, a few AI breakthroughs with Google could really push that stock to new heights and basically blow the valuation completely out of the water. And you'll be very, very glad that you own the stock. Not saying they're going to outperform over the next year or anything else. Remember, I'm a long-term buy and hold investor, so I'm looking out 3 to 5 years at a minimum. And I think during that time frame, if I'm guessing, and it's a pure guess, guys, I think this one right here is going to be the one that outperforms the other two. However, I own all three, so I hope that they all three. If I'm wrong, that's a great time to be wrong, right? Because I own the other two as well, and that means I made a lot of money there as well. And remember, if you want to see all those buys in real time, you want to see my watch list complete with my actual price targets for these three stocks, you want to take 5 courses for free, use that stock analyzer tool for free, and be a part of the best 6- and 7-figure Discord out there. Have all of us help you build that plan, do evaluation, basically take care of everything you need to take care of in order to set up your plan for your future. Make sure you check out the pinned comment down there, as the sale is going on right now. And when it ends, guys, the price has to go up in order to pay for everything that's going on in the group. And we actually have more coming as well. So make sure you check out the pinned comment down there, see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.